You ready? Okay.
We are live now. Yeah,
Okay.
go
Hey
ahead.
everyone, welcome to the show. I am your host, Ann Cantera. I am a senior AI product designer at Optimum, and I must add, in no way do my words reflect the opinion of my employer. And you all know I could be a little spicy, so I just wanted to get that out of the way. Today, we are going to talk about what an epic mess the job market is for people in tech right now, how you can get those new skills that will pay those bills. And I am joined by my brilliant and stunning co host, Manaz Hodges Smiley. Hi, Manaz. Are you looking forward to having your portfolio critique today?
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm so excited.
Good. Today, we have two amazing guests who are going to help you navigate this job disaster that is happening right now. One of the things I talk about often that people in the space don't talk about much is designing your portfolio for recruiters and hiring managers. You have two clients. You have to get past that recruiter if you want to get to that hiring manager. And our guests today will each represent those roles and speak to you from that position. Today we have Rupert Chattervetti and Chris. Help me with your last name, Stramble.
Fabulous.
Thank you. Let me just say to call either of them just a recruiter or a hiring manager is ludicrous because these are two wildly pedigreed individuals. And with that, I would love for them to introduce themselves. Rupa, would you please go first?
For sure. Thanks for having me, and Minaz. My name is Rupa Chaturvedi, and I'm currently the founder of Human Centered AI Institute. It's been my passion project for a very long time, turned into a full-time gig. We've been focused on corporate consulting, training, and helping designers navigate this crazy and fast evolving space of AI. I also do a couple of other things like building a CPG company on the side and just educating and supporting tech professionals. So that's my background. I'm a product design grad from Stanford University and spent a couple of years in the Bay Area, about 20 plus years now, in startups and large organizations alike, and basically been a product and UX designer through and through. Yeah.
Thanks, Rupa. Before you go, Chris, Rupa, let's do a plug for Vibe Snacks.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. I love you. And white snacks, guys. Again, this is, me trying to bring in a lot of the, going against the routine culture right now that we are all experiencing, trying to think through what really is good for us, healthy for us, and trying to bring my cultural background into the mix. So white snacks are sugar-free, very clean, anti-inflammation, metabolism boosting, super functional products, which I was looking for many years as a tech, professional in the Silicon Valley, commuting for hours every day and not finding something that's good for us, clean for us, healthy for us. I just decided to solve the problem. So check it out at vibesnacks.com. Thank
Thanks,
you, Anne.
Rupa. All right, Chris, all you.
Well, nice to meet everyone. I think my background is probably a little bit shorter and less impressive than Rupa, but I'm a former executive Amazon recruiter. And a couple of years back, I shifted into kind of coaching people on kind of the flip side of things on how to get hired. So I basically leverage, now that I have over the past 5 years, my own company, focus on kind of coaching executives in terms of the resume, the LinkedIn, the cover letter, how to navigate your job search, the networking, the interview stuff, to basically help them get hired. And I leverage my background from the recruiting side to do that. And my main focus is typically financial services, tech, fintech, healthcare, health tech. Those are kind of the big industries that I focus on. So pleasure to meet everyone and excited to kind of chat about all of the portfolios today.
And I just want to add, Chris has the best how to get hired content on LinkedIn, hands down, no questions asked. No offense to anybody else, but really well done. So I just want to start with a couple of questions before we start diving into portfolios. And this is kind of the root of the subject for me that I want to put out into the world. So each of you, please take a turn answering this. But what are the differences in how recruiters versus hiring managers view a candidate and view their portfolio? Chris, why don't you go first, since it's the recruiter that keeps the gate there, pretty much.
Sure. I would say that I think that recruiters are typically the ones that are skimming through and seeing if you have the right keywords that they're looking for. Part of that is because, and I think something that many people don't recognize, is that recruiters don't actually have the hands-on experience in the job that you're targeting. So if somebody were to talk to me about hiring a UX designer, I could be the recruiter that is responsible for hiring that. But do I actually have any knowledge about UX design? Probably not, because I have not studied or worked in that field. So I would just be skimming for the requirements that the hiring manager has given me in a 30 to 60-minute call of like, hey, here's what I'm looking for. Hence, it is important for the recruiter screen that you're just passing, I guess, like that superficial test, versus I think for hiring managers, it is much more important that, or what they would be looking for is like much more detail around, can this person actually do the job? So I think I would say that's the biggest difference when it just comes to the first screening stage.
Well, let me ask you this though: now there's so much contradicting information out there, and there's some things I just want to get clear. Now, one of them I just saw recently is your portfolio doesn't need to be pretty. But in my mind, a recruiter who doesn't know exactly, like you said, you're not a UX expert, you have keywords. Are you all generally seduced by beautiful, shiny portfolios more so than one that kind of ticks all the boxes but is ugly and boring?
I think it's a bit of a personal preference, to be honest with you. So I think you get multiple different replies. I can tell you, like, personally, and again, this also depends on like industry and job titles that you're applying for. But personally, I would always love a simple black and white, clean portfolio versus like all of these different graphs and all of these different like, I don't know, designs or tables, because it makes it hard for me to skim through that in 10 to 20 seconds, to be honest. But I think it's a preference thing.
That leads me to my next question. That hero section, that above the fold section, what will get you jazzed for a person's sort of in general vibe in that hero section? Like, what do you need to see? Because I see 500-word essays and I know nobody's reading those. And then sometimes, like mine, somebody put it this really best way to me is, it's a billboard. You have 30 seconds to sell yourself in that hero section. So I'm curious, what should be there in your opinion?
I don't want to take over the whole conversation, but I think like the hero section, I assume you're talking about the summary section of the resume, right? Like the top part?
The very top part. Yeah. And don't worry, Rupa is going next, because it's going to be very different from what you say. That's the whole point.
All right, got you. Well, I mean, in the summary section, I would like to see that you're hitting on, I mean, as a recruiter, your only objective that you're trying to figure out in like the 10 to 20 seconds is like, does this person have the right hard skills to do the job that I'm kind of trying to fill? So like what I would like to see in the summary section is much less around what people think like fluffy, keywords, or, like, oh, I'm a seasoned executive with, whatever. I would like to see, like, can you include like, I have hard skills 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have experience managing, for example, teams of X plus whatever that number is. So that if I'm looking for, I don't know, a design lead that's going to manage a team of 5 or 10 people, that I instantly know, okay, you have hard skills X, Y, and Z. You have experience of managing a global team of X plus people. That way I know it's worth it I'm just trying to figure out, is it worth it for me to call you and have a chat, right? Or set up an interview. So that's what I would care about, versus I know that a lot of people think about like, I need to present my brand or who I am like outside of work, etc. I mean, personally, I could not care less, as long as you do the job and are a culture fit, obviously. But the culture fit, you can only find out in the interview stages anyways, right? So I would waste as little space as possible on that and focus on the hard skills around the job.
Beautiful. Okay, Rupa, what's your same questions, only the hiring manager's perspective, not necessarily the hero image, but what are the first things you're looking for?
Yeah, I think somewhere I do overlap with what Chris was saying. I'm looking for someone who can do the job, right? That's the most important thing for me, and that there's a lot of nuance there. We are hiring for specific teams, for specific product groups. We're always keeping that in the back of our mind as, hey, is this person a good fit for this specific role? In some cases, you're looking for a junior designer because that's the role and that's what it requires. In some cases, there's a more mature team or a tough team to work with. You're looking for a more seasoned and experienced designer. So it's always about fitment. What team I'm hiring for, what's the scope, what type of projects they do, what skill sets we are looking for. So I'm always looking for how the designer has presented themselves. It's very important for me to get to know them. Are you a visual designer, more on the brand side and UI side? And what I really need is more on the UX side. I don't have resources for research. I want you to be able to do everything. Then I'm looking for a person who's got a more well-rounded approach. If I'm looking for a team that is everyone in the team, like maybe product managers, eng leaders, are higher level and more senior, I'm looking for a more senior designer, so a junior designer will not cut it. Things like that. I think I'm always looking for fitment. Beyond that, I'm also looking for fitment with the design team itself, like, hey, how are we balancing out the overall skill set in the team? Are we creating diversity? Are we creating complementary? Are we bringing in complementary skills? How much can this designer do on their own without needing constant support, and how independent they are? And then lastly, what's the scope of projects they've worked on? It's very important for me to get a sense of, if I'm looking for a very complex project, L6 level staff designer who needs to take on a project and run with it, and I see designers who've just built features in a couple of different products, that's not going to be a good fit for me. So fitment from so many different perspectives is what I'm reviewing across the board.
And visually, do you care if it's, I mean, I always feel like if it's visually stunning, you're going to get a leg up. True or false?
So I think there's a bit of a nuance there. I'll maybe just share the way I think about it. You don't want to have style over substance. If you think that just visual can get you there without having the depth of the work, the process, your maturity as a designer, that's going to be very hard. But if you have great substance and you've not done the job of putting forward good design, then you've missed the opportunity. So if you're a senior designer, if you're a mid to senior career designer, you better show your visual chops. I feel like that's a miss in many cases. Designers are, but having said that, I have seen some fantastic designers who have not had the opportunity to invest in the visual aspect of their projects just because of the company they were in, the environment, the culture, which did not emphasize on polish and sophistication. And that's totally fine. So what do? You make up for that. You make sure that you're still demonstrating those skills, even though specific projects didn't allow you to do that. I always say to designers that take liberty with your portfolio and showcase who you are rather than what you shipped in the constraints that you were working in. So put your best foot forward, and the most important thing is to tell your hiring manager who you are as a designer. What is your capacity? What are your skill sets? What do you bring to the table? So they know, if I hire this person, are they going to take a lot of my bandwidth? Will they be able to come in and just run with it? Are they going to be able to build good relationships and not create noise for me and stress for me every day? That's what I'm looking for. So visual, I think, is a way to communicate that, hey, you can rely on me. If your company culture needs is like, for example, a company like Uber has very strong design systems and very high quality bar. I wouldn't say Amazon doesn't, but Amazon would prioritize impact ROI over visual and say, okay, if you can think like a product designer, if you can think like a person who's thinking backwards from impact and business goals, we'll take you. And then most likely you will use our design system to fill the gap there. So it also depends on what company you're working with, but don't let that limit your portfolio. Your portfolio is not it should not only represent the projects you have worked, but should represent who you are holistically.
Okay, that was amazing. I hope that is helpful for everybody who's watching. let's dig into a portfolio. I find critiquing portfolios out loud really helps people learn how to build a better portfolio. So Manaz, would you like to share yours first? Let's try and do semi-speed critiquing because we want to show like 3 or 4. So, and also you guys don't have a lot of time, right? When you're looking at portfolios, you're not looking at them for 15 minutes. So let's kind of do this the way you would do it in real life. If you want to kind of each take a turn on what you see and have something to say about it. Right. Chris, let's do recruiter take on this.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, my first step would be to go into her LinkedIn, to be honest with you, just because that'll show me like her jobs and kind of like what it looks like there.
Okay. You hear everybody? Make that LinkedIn easy to find. Yes.
And then I think obviously I would go into like that, check out my work. So I love that she has the button there and, you know, that you can just go into the work. I'm not the 100% expert on like portfolios. I deal with like resumes typically, just because, you know, I'm not 100% in like UX design recruiting, or that's not my background, but I would be curious to hear Rupa's, you know, feedback on like, would it not be nicer to have a profile picture of her there so that you can actually see who she is? That seems to me like that'd be nice, but I'm not sure.
That is highly debated. Go ahead, Rupa, take that one, because
oh my God,
that's a hot one, Chris. You stepped on the hornet's nest.
I would avoid putting a picture there, guys. I've never put a picture of me in a portfolio, and you can see the places I've managed to land. And the reason being, being a responsible, inclusive designer, I feel like images can generate bias. Whether you like it or not, we are all humans and we process visuals very differently. And I just feel like stay away from that. It's just a safe thing to be, is not end up creating a situation for yourself where I don't know what it could be. It could be the way you dress. It could be your ethnicity. It could be your age. It could just take people in a different direction and maybe bias in a positive direction too. And I don't like that approach. So I prefer not to look at pictures or not have pictures on portfolio.
So now Rupa, though, he's kind of the gatekeeper, like, and in general, right? They have to. You won't see the portfolio if it doesn't get past the recruiter, and if the recruiters like pictures, what do we do?
I didn't say that, Anne. Right? So okay. Hold on. So
Go ahead.
I did not know how it works, for example, for these portfolios, because you don't have experience of just like recruiting UX designers specifically. But I know that, for example, what Rupa says makes 100% sense, because that's exactly why we do not have pictures on resumes right now. Yeah. So like, even for example, I know that a lot of like applicant tracking systems will auto reject resumes that have pictures inside them, right? So it makes sense what you're saying. I just didn't know, for example, if this would be like something where it's like LinkedIn, where you would want to like engage and like show your picture, like, you know what I mean?
Gotcha.
That's a good one, Chris. If I want to see somebody's picture, I can just go to LinkedIn. And again, I avoid that only because you can come across very different in pictures depending on who shot your picture and, you know, what that moment was. You could come across as frivolous or too much fun, or you could come across as too stiff and too serious. Right. I just avoid looking at pictures as a data point.
Yeah. So Rupa, what do you think visually? Is this enough to get her in a pile, the yes pile for you?
So being super candid here, couple of things that I look at this portfolio, what I'm seeing here is, number one, this animation is super distracting. I don't see the need for it here at all. And then I'm looking at the headline. It's the most important thing. I appreciate that Mehnaz has put something here. A lot of designers don't do this. They don't put out a statement explaining who they are. They need to define themselves as designers. So I know, is this the right fit? So if I were a hiring manager focused on, if this is what we were looking for somebody who's into ethical AI and behavior design, maybe yes. But for most of the roles I have worked on, where We are building, UX applications for B2C, B2B, SaaS, whatever the different, areas that I worked on. I wouldn't find this a good fit because it seems to me going in the direction of more ethics, behavior design, and not a UX design. So it depends on how you want to position yourself, Manas. If you're only looking for roles that are in this space, go for it. But if you're looking for UX design roles, this is not telling me anything about your UX design background. And I want to just call this out because I know I work with a lot of UX designers through my courses and programs, and everyone's trying to position themselves as AI designers. I would say don't over index on that. That's not going to do anything for you. There's no such thing called AI designer or not. We're all UX designers, and we are now building capabilities to take on AI first projects, but that's about it. So I can quickly skim your portfolio and get a feel for whether you have any AI design experience or not. But your core, if you're applying to UX design roles, and if this is what I see, okay, I'll read the next line. I specialize in research-driven UX, rapid prototyping, connecting behavior science with AI to design tools. I'm already lost there. I have no idea what that means. So I feel like one thing that a lot of designers miss is clarity and specificity. Don't write content for the sake of writing. Communicate, what you bring to the table or what you have accomplished so far. Like, what will you bring to the table if I hired you today? And this is not, there are two contradictory statements here. The first headline is very different from the second one. The second one is going in the direction of UX design, but the first one says ethically. I see things like behavior design, learning experiences, which means like instructional design. Is that what you do? So it's very confusing. And I have not seen any work just yet in this above the fold section. So if I were to just look at this, I would already be iffy about this. So what I have seen in my own experiences, I'm assuming that the recruiter has screened for levels. That's the most important thing. I'm expecting my recruiter to say that if I'm hiring for an L6 level role, you're showing me L6 level portfolios. If I'm hiring for a junior designer, you're showing me a junior designer portfolio. And so that I'm expecting my recruiter to do that work for me. So now I'm landing here and let's make this up for a minute, okay? We're looking for a mid-level designer, mid to senior level designer in this case. And we're looking for someone who's independent, who's looking to come in and just take on ownership of a full-fledged UX project. There's some keywords that tell me that this could be a good fit, but mostly I would not even scroll past this because I see keywords like ethical AI, behavior design, none of it speaking to me that, hey, I'm an experienced UX designer who has taken on end-to-end projects in the following areas. I'm more of a B2B designer versus a B2C designer. I'm more of a multi-platform versus a mobile designer. Like, I'm looking for more clarity and specificity, and this is your chance to be as clear. I think a lot of designers index on gimmicks and visuals and photographs. Hey, I like to do biking and craft during my free time. I don't want to hear all of that just yet. I want to get to know you as a person after I have made up my mind that my very precious time, because there are a million people pinging me on Slack and my boss wants me to send that stupid report. And in the middle of all of that, I'm trying to decide whether I want to spend time that I could have spent elsewhere on this portfolio. And this is the time you have to grab that attention. And again, I am looking for fitment. If this was an AI project where we were thinking of bringing on a designer that is expected to drive some behavior change, think healthcare, think some of these areas where we are bringing folks to enable behavior change or service design or that kind of stuff. Yeah, this would be a perfect fit, right? So again, if you're applying to general UX roles with this portfolio, you will always have a challenge getting through the hiring manager at least.
Wow.
So I guess, Rupa, how important would it be? Like, I know that, for example, as a recruiter, if you would be looking for someone senior that's also managing like a team, I guess how important I would have, for example, advised like it'd be great if, in that tagline where you say I specialize in X, Y, and Z, that you were to like add, I've got experience of like managing teams of X plus, I feel
Absolutely.
is that important for you, I guess, as well?
Absolutely. If I'm trying to hire a design manager, I want to know that front and foremost. Don't waste my time making me look for that information, because I've seen that a lot of times. People are trying to apply for multiple jobs. I'll see if I can get a manager position, but if I land with an IC, it's not a big deal. And then they mess up their portfolios big time. So remember, positioning is different from projects, right? Your positioning has to be super clear. If you are an IC and you're trying to position yourself as a design manager, it'll be very hard for you to justify that. But if you're a design manager and you've got experience leading teams, please put that upfront.
Yeah, that's very useful. Thanks, Rupa. So I have a question. Like, the one thing that we are afraid, like as designers, to put like very specific things there is that we're gonna lose opportunities because we didn't like, we have experience in everything a little bit, like most of us, and it's not that our job is like it's like a 10-year experience seasoned designer that they are like they found their specific niche to focus on. So we have experience in like a little bit management, in little bit visual design, little bit UX. So how we can like not losing opportunities and yet having this like focused description of ourselves in the hero section.
Yeah, that's a great question, Manas. And my point was not to narrow it down. It was to be clear. Like I like to, and Chris is going to laugh at this, but the way I review portfolios, I like designers to think of themselves as an Amazon product listing. Okay, so when you look at an Amazon page, you look at any product page on Amazon, you see a lot of metadata. You see pricing, you see when this thing is going to get shipped, you see what discount it's offering or what star rating it has, right? These are metadata that is not forming an entire aspect of that product page. There's more to it. There's the pictures, the videos, all the product stuff. But what I'm looking for is metadata that helps me make decisions. So even if you are a generalist, you've done a little bit of everything, say so. And then call out the highlights. Do you have a highlight that said, hey, I don't know how you would position that, but hey, I shipped an end-to-end, when you're saying behavior design, I shipped an end-to-end behavior design project. I'm just making this up for a minute. Or I led a team. So a generalist UX designer who has also led a team. Like, be clear. That's the thing. It's not that what you're writing here is not clear. The point I was making is the second sentence you're writing talks about general UX capabilities, and the first thing you're writing is about behavior design and ethical AI, which are contradictory to each other. So it confused me as to who you are, but clarity is important. Doesn't mean that you narrow things down and take away. If you're a generalist UX designer, that's totally fine. But look deeper into your work and say, what are some of the highlights I can communicate that tell the story, my story. You don't have to differentiate, you don't have to compete, you have to just be authentic to who you are, and that is good enough, right? So that was the point I was making, is it's okay to say I've done a little bit of this and that, right? But you have to look back at your work and say, what are the key highlights? What are the metadata I can communicate? So I've seen some designers, you see that little pill you have, check out my work. They would put pills like these that would say, B2B experience, SaaS experience, healthcare experience, design leadership for 4 years, like something like that. And that just gives me, okay, this person has these specific areas that they go deep. IDEA used to have this concept of a T-shaped human being, right? So designers can position themselves like that. This is my T, which is my breadth of experience, and this is the depth. This is my expertise. This is what I specialize. If this one thing I do extremely well, it's this. And that's how you position yourself. As you grow in your career and you do more, you will find it easier for you to communicate that. I think in the early to mid stages, most designers, including myself, have struggled with this definition, and it's okay. Just do it a couple of times. And anyone, including you, Manaz, anyone listening to this, needs any quick input on their positioning statement, feel free to ping me. I'm happy to help.
Thank you,
Also
Rupa.
love, by the way, that you shared like the keyword like clarity, right? Because I think, I'm just going to see it from a job search perspective. I think that the biggest challenge that many job seekers have, doesn't matter what field you're in, is typically like, oh, I'm just going to target all of the directions. I don't want to miss out on like any specific job. And like that is typically the worst approach that you can take, because then like your portfolio or your resume, your LinkedIn, etc., is all over the place because you're just targeting every single different area. Your networking is also all over the place because you're targeting different companies, different peoples within those companies, versus, okay, I have like the general experience X, Y, and Z. Here's the 2 or 3 directions that I specifically want to go after now. Let me tailor all of my materials towards that. And that will also guide like exactly the 20, 30 companies that I'm reaching out to, the 5 to 10 recruiting firms that I'm connecting with that specialize in those 2, 3 areas. And here's exactly the types of recruiters or hiring managers or other executives I'm reaching out to for like networking, etc. as well, right? So I think like before you even think about the portfolio or creating that, I would say the biggest or most important thing to do is to say, okay, what are the exact 5 to 10 job descriptions I want to target, and like what are the 2, 3 different directions these are in, and then get very clear like across those 5 to 10 job descriptions, what are the common keywords, skills, responsibilities, and themes that I see. And now let me tailor my portfolio or resume or whatever it is towards that. I think that's like your step 1 that will build the foundation for everything else you do if you're like a job seeker, right?
Wow.
Good points.
There's
Thank
so
you,
much
Chris.
chatter in the comments. Maybe afterwards, you guys can answer some of those questions too. Let's Manaz, I know we have like other portfolios to look at, so let's just click on check out my work, and we'll kind of critique that high level, and then we'll share Lee's or somebody else's portfolio. But there's so many questions in the chat that I really hope we can all get to. Maybe stay after and just answer some of those too. Okay. Rupa, why don't you take this one?
Okay, so what am I looking at?
Oh, that's never a good question. Right?
Is this a project?
Yeah, she clicked on check out my work.
Sorry. I for a second I thought we were jumping to that. Okay, so we're scrolling the portfolio. Okay.
I have this power thingy.
Yeah, that's fine. I think this is good. See, Manaz, this is where you've done a couple of things which I was expecting. So you've called out this is a B2B project. You're building something on the tech community side. You've written your impact that you were able to. I don't know what this means. 87.5% automation rate. I started thinking this was the impact you had, but it's not clear. AI-powered automation. So this was enough for me to know that you worked on some AI project. And that was the point I was making earlier.
Want to go to the case study?
This seems like a development project and not a design project. Is that right? Did I get that right? Okay. Okay, let's move forward.
To the case study or to the next?
Let's keep scrolling. So we'll stay on the first page because that's where I'll spend most of my time. I'm not clicking on any case studies till I decide I want to spend more time on this portfolio. That's how most design managers would look at this and say, what's the breadth of the work, right? What's the kind of projects you have worked on? So right now I'm seeing B2C, health and wellness, education, 80% user satisfaction. Would love to get a little bit more of that. That seems like a very high number, too true to believe. Design an end-to-end OS app supporting college women. Okay, this is very clear to me. Let's keep moving forward.
I love that you said too true to believe, because I feel like most people will just like try to put so many metrics and percentages and all of that stuff into your like portfolio resume because that's what everyone says. But then you get the hiring, like the recruiter will typically not notice, but a hiring manager will typically say, look, this is BS, and I can call that,
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
Mhm.
And I think
Don't
it shows
put numbers for the sake of it. That's what I was saying earlier. Is be very clear that if you are applying for a role where it's a product design role and you expect the entire team to have experience in product design, then expect that they will drill holes with a machine gun into your portfolio if you put numbers and it's not making sense, right? So generally
Mhm.
saying plus 40%, it's not real for a lot of applications. I'm looking at this K through 12 book series by creating a mobile companion app. Okay, this is good. So here's why don't we quickly skim through this? I want to give Manaz some very quick inputs. Hopefully that's very actionable. Now I see another B2C case study. Sorry, not the project. I want to keep going on the
Oh,
first page
okay.
itself. Yeah. Okay, then I see a website which is an e-commerce experience. Okay, so what I am seeing here there's more. Okay, Memorial Maker is also a B2C web-based application. Okay,
That's all like we have.
gotcha. So this is something I see a lot of designers not get right, right? Your 4 or 5 projects, if you just look at the keywords and the highlights that you have written yourself, if you put all of this into ChatGPT and say, create a summary for me, it'll do a pretty good job of summarizing what your experience has been. I see a multi-platform designer who's done some good work in the area of learning, design, B2C applications, a little bit of B2B, but you're mostly a B2C designer here who can work on mobile apps, who can work on web, and has done some AI experience. That's all I'm looking for. What is this behavior science and ethical? I just got lost there, but I see your work and like, okay, this person can do all of this stuff. So you are going to miss out on a lot of opportunities just because of the way you've shaped your positioning statement. So take the time to copy all of your project keywords and the description. Just that's it. You don't need to do anything. Put it in ChatGPT and say, help me create a strong positioning statement that articulates my strengths and my overall skill sets. And I think it should do a pretty decent job there. And that's what I look for. When I am looking for the first page, I'm quickly looking at the breadth and the scope of the project. So what I would like to add to this, Minas, is in each of these projects, talk about what your role was. Did you do the entire project on your own, or were you part of a team? So did you contribute to it? Did you the interesting framework that I would put forward here for you and everyone else who's listening is, are you a feature designer or are you a product designer? That's the big differentiation in how we level set and how we perceive the designer's fitment to our projects, right? If you're a feature designer, you're mostly in the junior to mid-range and you have to showcase that. When you are a feature designer, then you are going to not write things like, I design and build a web-based AI-powered tool. You're going to say, I designed this feature that was part of a bigger project, and this was my contribution. If you're a product designer owning an end-to-end product area, then that's the statement you want to make. So ask yourself, are you a feature designer or a product designer, and rewrite everything so that it all adds up. You are telling a story. And the framework I like to tell my students and designers I work with is, you start with who you are. That's the most important thing. Then you talk about what you have done. So the who, what, why, how is how I think about it. So I want to know who you are before you show me anything. Then I want to know what you have done. That's the most critical part. And this is why I skim through the whole page. I would not click on a case study unless I've decided that this person is a good fit, and then I will go into the case study. So if you want to pick any case study, happy to take a quick look at that as well. And I like the fact that
Yeah,
you've got some recommendations, references in the bottom of your um, portfolio page as well. Yeah.
thanks.
Okay.
So,
I feel
wanna
like we
go to
could
the
do
next portfolio,
yeah, I feel
or
like
you
we could
wanna
do a
go to the?
whole Rupa, we'll have to come back and we'll do just case studies.
Let's do that.
We have
Happy to-
so many
Yeah,
people are going to be disappointed that we're not going to have time to get to them. So let's just do
yeah.
hero sections for the next couple, to see if
Okay.
they'd even make it through, and give some more actionable advice on that. How about you have Lee set up next? I promise. She's in the audience waiting.
Oh, Lee. Okay, let me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I guess,
And you
Rupa,
said it-
also maybe a question for you. I mean, I know that, for example, from a recruiting standpoint, the first thing that I'd also be looking for is like, what companies/industries have you worked in? Is that
Yeah.
something, for example, I feel that would be really cool to add in like the first sentence at the top where you talk about like, I specialize in X, Y, and Z. To have like, I've worked across industries 1, 2, 3, and 4, or whatever it is. Is that something that from a hiring manager's perspective matters to you as well, or is that something that you don't care about?
I typically don't. I think that's what recruiters care about, and that's how they pitch candidates to me as well many times. But for me, just skimming through that web page, the first landing page for 30 seconds gives me all the information I know. That would be a good place, though, Chris, where I saw the projects. You could just add again. Remember metadata.
Yeah.
You're helping people make decisions. So what metadata can you offer that helps them, seal the deal for you? Is like, okay, seems like they worked in similar industries like us. Relevance of experience goes a long way, guys. But I'm not looking for specific companies. Again, different hiring managers see this differently. There was a situation where we were hiring for a B2B project, but we ended up shortlisting a lot of B2C candidates because our bar for visual design and alignment with the need was to design a mini design system for our project. We wanted stronger visual design or B2C designers because we thought they will bring that flair to our project. So sometimes it's not about the companies you worked for or something. It's more about what your skill sets it is, and that's more important to me than what companies you worked with.
Very interesting, like how your opinion, for example, is completely different to mine, right? Because like I would, for example, I mean, I agree with you and you're right? Because like obviously, like who cares what company / like industry the person has worked in? If they have the transferable skills, great, right? But I would receive like 350 applications for a job if I would post one right now, right? And if I would have to pitch it to you, I would have preferably pitch to you like, look, Rupa, we're at Google. This person has worked at Amazon, Meta, or whatever. I think they're going to be a great fit. They're going to perform very well here, or whatever. And I know that like typically my hiring manager would want to have a conversation with them. Versus it's like harder to sell to most hiring managers. Like, look, this person is coming from a small like health and wellness startup. You do want to have a talk with them, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's
there's a lot of
interesting.
nuance there, right, Chris? As I was saying earlier, that's how I've seen recruiters pitch candidates to me. But there's a bit of a nuance there. A couple of things very quickly. I know we're going to get close to time. So when we were looking for something very niche at Uber Eats, we were looking for people in the food delivery experience. And so candidates with very relevant experience would stand out because what we were building was very complex and it needed somebody to understand the context of how restaurant owners manage their business. Very, very niche, very specific, right? In some cases, we believe that if you told me that this person works for Google or XYZ, I'm like, dang, I don't want this person. They'll come with a massive set of attitude more than anything else. So you can actually work, that might end up working against you. If I see a person working at a startup, what I read into that, Chris, is you can move fast, you're scrappy, you have done everything. You're like a generalist and you can do everything and you can work under pressure. If you work for a larger company, you need a lot more structure, that's what I am parsing when somebody says this person has worked for XYZ. Most likely people from startup organizations are a lot more robust, like they have a lot more that they can offer to the table, and they are very independent. They can work on their own because most likely they're the only designer in the group or whatever, right? So there's this different information I am parsing when I hear the companies. Industry is more relevant than the name of the company, I would say, Chris.
Totally agree.
Okay, let's critique this one real quick, and then we're going to go on to Chris's demo. I think people are going to be blown away about how the back end of LinkedIn actually works. But let's just look at Lee's hero section real quick. Thoughts? It's not wordy. It's not word salad. I'll give her that.
Can you scroll just a little bit so I can read the headlines of these projects? Okay.
Now those headlines should be above that fold. No, Rupa?
Yeah, it would have been nice to have some kind of a summary on the top that would just give me a sense. So I just was trying to respond to someone on chat. You're all UX designers. Treat the person who's looking at your projects as your user and work backwards from your user as to how would you design a UX project, right? That's how you're designing your portfolio. So you're making me do a lot of work to go through everything and summarize who you are as a person rather than you doing that work for me and telling me that, right? So in both these portfolios, that was my biggest disconnect is I have to do the cognitive processing of looking at these projects and summarizing in my mind who this person is. If you could do that, that would save me a lot of time and that will make me understand that this person is a bit more mature and sophisticated in their communication, right? So yeah, this is giving me a feel for a person who is a bit more visual and more into the branding side. I'm seeing website redesign. I'm seeing product design. If you can go a little bit more deeper, Gen AI product design, mobile app feature. Okay, so more of a multi-platform B2C kind of a person who's got some extra skill sets around asset design and user research. So a generalist UX designer with, maybe this is my reading and whoever this person is, please tell me if I got this wrong, but looks like you've done these projects end to end. Some of these do look concepty to me, like they don't look like real projects just from what I'm reading from here. But to me, this seems like a junior to mid-level designer who's got doesn't have depth of experience, but has breadth of experience. So I am not seeing anything that stands out to me just yet. It doesn't tell me who you are as a designer just yet.
Okay. I think that was enough feedback, even just for this first page for Lee to do have a new direction on how to
Want me to
Yeah,
click on any
very
case?
quickly, if you look at this thing on the my right hand side, I see a Mac mockup with something and it doesn't tell me anything. That's the point I'm trying to make, right?
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
I see a lot of designers, they show these type of mockups and it doesn't tell me what you really did. So my recommendation to a lot of folks, especially if you're doing AI, please put demos, screen recordings, prototypes instead of putting static screens with mockups. This is so 2000s, guys. This is not an AI first or a 2025, 2026 kind of a portfolio. And I mean, with a lot of respect and a lot of love, please don't hate me for this. I'm just trying to help and just give you a sense of, okay, what can you do to level this up? If you are working in UX, interaction design, or AI design, please show prototypes, please show demos, do screen recordings. I want to know if you understand how AI works and not just how AI looks like. And the first visual there threw me off of the website page. This is good. This gives me a sense of the scope and the breadth of the project. And that was the only project that I could relate to. The rest of the projects felt like too zoomed in, too zoomed out, and I couldn't get a sense of. So these are what we call glam shots, guys. Your glam shot is to make your projects, your work look like superstars. They need to be, the red carpet treatment of, hey, this is, if you look at the second one and the green one, if you go down, so I gave some feedback on the web project. Then if you scroll down, you see that other mobile project in the green color. I see a login screen there. If you don't mind scrolling down here. Why are you showing me a login screen? That's not the cool part of what you did here, right? You must have done something here that helped with e-commerce or sales or insights, or I don't know, a lot of designers do that. They show onboarding screens, even though they've done a lot more work beyond that onboarding. So I would recommend, think of this as your glam shots. Make your project the superstars, the celebrities, and bring out the best of your project. You only have a few seconds to tell your story. Don't do progressive disclosure on your projects or your portfolios. Like, design it as your UX design project. What's the first thing and the only thing you want me to look at, and put that forward, rather than making me click and unpack. This is not an onion that I'm unpacking every layer. I want the meat on day one, like instantly, before you make me do the work. So don't make me think, don't make me work. That's what the message is here for a lot of portfolios.
Thank you, Rupa. That was amazing. Okay,
so there was a message heading here, so it was.
And I'm saying this with a lot of respect.
Yeah.
All right, let's segue into Chris's.
I just want to say this, and I'm being very candid and very honest, but I say it with a lot of respect and love. So
I know you do, Rupa.
With the right spirit.
Part of being a designer is taking feedback and turning it into something positive. And if it hurts, then I think you need to get better at processing it and know it's not personal. It's there to make you get better, whether it's at work or on your portfolio or whatever. Since we only have 10 minutes, and it's okay if we go a little bit over, I think one of the things that is so important that Chris brings to the table is this whole how to LinkedIn right? So Chris, if you want to take it away and talk to everybody about how to get LinkedIn right.
Yeah, sure. Happy to. And let me just share my screen. I think, I think Rupa brings a lot of like the knowledge around like, here's like what matters in terms of the portfolio. I think that when it comes down to the actual recruiting process or like getting hired, what I think that you guys should be, I guess, like aware of is like typically the process or how it would work is that, let's say that I work with Rupa and she's my hiring manager. Typically she would say, look, I'm looking for a product designer, right? As an example. And the first thing that I would do as the recruiter after posting the job, or if I even decide to post the job, would be to actually use the separate platform or software called LinkedIn Recruiter, where I, as the headhunter or the recruiter, can basically go in and say, hey, look, I'm looking for a product designer. And I want to see I can start an AI assisted search and see basically who's out there on the market, right? So now I'll say, okay, there's 1.7 million folks that are open to work. That is obviously way too much for me. So what I'm going to start doing is to say, look, Rupa has said that this person has to be based in New York or in San Francisco because that's like where our office is. So my first filter is going to be, let me just filter out by that this person is open to work in either New York or San Francisco. That's going to trim down my search significantly already. But now, obviously, I still have a lot of folks in there. So what I'm going to do next, and that's where I think like coming back to the conversation we had way at the beginning about like keywords and like making sure that you do the analysis of like your jobs of interest, that you figure out what matters. Because as a recruiter, what I would do next is to say, let me start filtering out by those certain skills and by certain keywords, which like, especially for probably everyone on this call, like you guys are very technical, or there's like a lot of, even what I've understood from this call, right? There's a lot of different like technical skills or hard skills and like soft skills that you guys need. But like as a recruiter, I might say, look, I'm looking for hard skills 1, 2, 3, and 4. Maybe I'm looking for someone that has experience of managing teams of like 10 plus, whatever my keywords or like, requirements are for that job. I'm going to use this to filter it out. And then once I have that, I would hit open to work. And typically the people that show up for me on pages 1 or 2, right, are the ones that get that message of like, hey, person X, I saw that you're out there and that you're currently open to work. I have job X. Would you be open to having a potential first conversation with me? Blah, blah, blah. Like, please apply for this job. That's typically how you would get like in, right? Like, I'm not talking about everything else that happens afterwards of like, obviously you have to sell yourself in the interview. You have to, after you convince Rupa that you're the actual fit, like your portfolio, she's going to review that, etc. But I would definitely make sure that you have the right, I guess, keywords or the right criteria inside your LinkedIn profile so that you are showing up on the back end in these types of searches and getting more of that like inbound traction from recruiters of like, hey, and I saw that you're open to work. I have this job, let's have a first conversation, right? And I guess a couple of sections that, definitely matter for that, right, would be, I'm actually going to share a profile from one of my former clients. And you're probably going to laugh, Rupa, but this person had landed a managing director level role with Deloitte, and her resume was very simple, very clean, black and white. And the way that she got hired was not with the portfolio, but because somebody had found her here and just messaged her, and she was very good in the interviews, etc. So like, I just want to mention, or the reason why I'm saying that is like, yes, obviously your portfolio, like everything that Rupa talked about is super important, but like definitely you should be spending the other 50% of your energy in like networking, right? And making sure that you actually get the referrals or into the conversation or into the room, plus making sure that your LinkedIn is on point, right? So that you actually, get the chance to interview, right? So like talking about the sections that will help you show up, at the top here would definitely be, this section here, right? So like make sure that you're hitting the right buzzwords there. Make sure that you have your top 5 skills selected up here in your about section, your profile, because that will instantly push you to the top if you have the right ones in there. And then definitely make sure that within like your individual experiences, right, that you touch on like the keywords that matter like that at the front of your profile as well, right? Plus that you have the right skills listed inside each individual role, obviously, as well, right? This person is not on the job market, so it's not as relevant to them anymore now, right? But if you are on the job market, my strong suggestion would be, figure out, for example, the, different job descriptions that you're targeting and have at least 20 to 30 different keyword skills and like responsibilities that matter, and weave them into your profile so that you're getting more of that like inbound traction from recruiters, right? And like that you're not just like mass applying through LinkedIn and like hoping that you hear back, right? Because typically, I mean, it also depends on the level, but like typically if you're mid to senior and above, the way that you're going to get hired is like networking, or like a recruiter reaching out to you saying, look, I have this job, do you want to have an interview with me, etc., right? So I think that's something that a lot of people like under leverage. So
Chris, that reminds me the point I was making about treating your resume like an Amazon listing.
Yeah, totally, right? I mean, want to make sure that you have the right things included so that you're showing up inside, the search, right? So
Chris, when you search, it's pulling from the headline and skills, right? Is that
so it is pulling basically from this section here, right?
Yeah, that's the headline. Yeah.
Pulling from the top 5 skills. Then it's pulling from what you have embedded inside like your profile here, right? Which, I mean, for me, obviously is different. You would want to have something like that, right? Which is why I shared that one. But then it's pulling from like the skills that you've listed inside here, right? So, I mean, those would be the key ones, right? Obviously, to make sure that those match the jobs that you're targeting, right? There's other little like nuances, like for example, a lot of recruiters will search up here like for a product designer, right? And then like what many will do is to say, look, I'm looking for someone that is currently a product designer, right? That for this product designer job. So like the reason why I'm saying that is a lot of times I know that people get like laid off and the first thing they do is to change their like job that they left, right? I always encourage you like keep it on as long as you can drag it out. Like 2, 3, 4 months is like fine. Have it obviously be accurate inside your resume that you left, but on your LinkedIn, you should definitely keep it as present, right? So that you're showing up inside the search and getting inbound traction. If somebody, I mean, nobody notices, but if somebody were to notice like, oh, hey, I see that, Manas, your LinkedIn says that you left, that you're still working at company X, but resume says that you, left in May. You can always say, oh, I haven't updated that on my LinkedIn yet, but all of my, dates are accurate on my resume. But like, yeah, huge way to drop out of the filters is like as soon as you switch that you left, right? So, I guess a couple of things to keep in mind as you, or if you are searching.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I think that was new information to a lot of people out there. I know for myself, when I changed my headline to basically list every potential job that I could ever want to have and all of my skills, it really changed things as far as recruiter outreach. Rupa, I have to
And
ask.
would you like, sorry,
Yeah.
and would you like to extend for 10 to 15 minutes so we can, if you're
If
all
if
okay?
every if they have time, yeah. Otherwise, I think the big question, and this is a Rupa question, is where are all the junior roles? What are the juniors supposed to do with themselves?
Oh my God.
It's hard.
I have to drop before you answer, Rupa. I'm so sorry, but I have to drop on
Chris.
the next call.
No,
But
we
it was
appreciate
so lovely
you.
to be here. And thank
Pleasure
you so much
meeting you,
for
Chris.
and have a good rest of the day and a weekend ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Follow
you.
Chris on LinkedIn. He's amazing.
Yeah, that's such a hard question to answer right now, and I don't have an answer for that. But a couple of years ago, I think at Amazon, we used to go looking out for entry-level designers. We used to invest in bringing in early designers and build a pathway for them, a career pathway. Many companies like Amazon and Google did that, but nowadays I feel like you're competing against senior designers who have either been laid off or whatever the reason is. And so when a hiring manager sees that I can get a more experienced senior person for the same job at the lower price, why not, right? This is a really messy situation right now. So here's what I told my own daughter. She's just going to design school this year, and last couple of years I've been pushing her into building a portfolio. So, and what you said earlier when we started off this session is go find something that builds a real project on your portfolio. The more you build experience, it's a chicken and egg story, right? If you don't have the experience, how do you show? And if you don't have anything to show, how do you get that job to build the experience? So it's a tough place to be. And my recommendation would be to invest in learning. I've spent 20 years in the industry and I'm still taking courses and learning and doing shit only because the world around us is changing so quickly. Don't get boxed into the fact that I'm a UX designer and I can't do anything else. Find ways to build. Here's what I tell my kids: find ways to make money. If you can learn how to build skills, offer something that somebody values, and make it into a paying situation, you're better off than a lot of others. And the world is going to change even if you end up getting an entry-level job. With the layoffs and the uncertainty around the tech situation, that's not a lottery one, right? That's just one step in the direction of where you want to go. So find ways to get additional adjacent skills. Think digital marketing. Where's the money going right now? Go after this while you're also trying to build a UX design portfolio. So that would be my recommendation. AI is so hot. If you can learn AI skills, how to build agents, how to do AI stuff, and potentially do it for someone else, that's not a bad thing at all. Don't get hung up. I'm a designer and all I have to do is design and only get a design role. The world is changing faster than you can imagine. And you don't even know what AI can do to the UX design role and function. So follow where the money is what I would say to a lot of folks.
Thank you, Rupa. I mean, we could keep you all day. I have to get to a work meeting and wrap it up, but I know there are questions in the chat. If you wouldn't mind taking a look and answering them.
Sure.
And
yeah, I shared like the second one.
Yeah. Oh.
Here. Can you see
I was
that?
trying to respond on chat directly, but it's giving me an error. So I'm happy to I'm happy to do it live. If you have any specific question you want me to take.
I showed one of the questions. Can you see that?
Junior entry-level designers need a master's degree now.
No, your master's degree is not going to help you get an entry-level job. No.
Lee, I have an associate's degree in culinary arts.
What if someone comes from a different grad background? Again, guys, this is hard. Transitioning into UX right now couldn't be the worst timing. But even if you come from a different background, that's totally fine. I did my undergrad in physics, and I spent 20 years in UX design. So don't let that hold you back. The point is, it's not just about portfolio. It's a combination of where you are being creative, thinking out of the box to find opportunities. How much of initiative are you showing? How proactive you? How hungry you are? People will hire and want to have people who are hungry in their team. So One of the things that we didn't talk about, and we should do a session like that someday, but
Yeah.
outside of portfolio, what are people looking for? And one of the things I look for is, it doesn't matter if you've not done something before. Are you hungry to invest in learning, figuring things out? Many times, especially in emerging tech, I've spent 10 plus years in emerging tech. Every time I've hired and put myself to the same thing, learning augmented reality, learning computer vision or machine learning or conversational systems, I've had to do this over and over again. And if you show that you're a person who can figure this out, it's not that we have tools to even do AI design today. We don't. We didn't have tools to do augmented reality prototyping. We didn't have tools to do conversational prototyping. So if you can showcase that, hey, I can figure this out, put me into the ocean and I'll find career transitions or early stage jobs. Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. All right, guys, I have to drop. Thank you so much, Rupa. Yeah, I have a work meeting.
No, we answer the rest questions.
Finish taking that question, and if you don't mind,
I'll drop. You guys can wrap it up. Thank you, Rupa. Thanks, Manaz. Talk to you guys soon. Bye.
All right.
Bye.
As I'll stay back and take a few more questions I'm not able to answer on LinkedIn. So this one I was trying to respond. Yeah.
What was that? I lost it.
No, it was about Dropbox pages versus URLs, right? I think that was first thing. Let me just give a more broader response to some of these questions, Manaz.
Okay.
Number one, I highly recommend everyone creating web pages, URL links over PDFs, Dropbox. Please don't do PDFs, Dropbox links anymore. You have to, again, think as a UX designer and reduce friction for the people who are looking at your work. So don't make me do work. Give me a simple URL that I can click and see everything on the same page. Just like the portfolios we just saw just now, a web page. If you're looking for tools, my favorite go-to, even today, my portfolio is on Squarespace. It is just designed very beautifully to make drag and drop easier and reorganize your layouts and structures in a super easy way. And you have ready-made templates you can pick. So that would be my go-to. If you don't want to spend that much money, Wix is pretty decent as well. My daughter ended up making her portfolio on Wix and she was just fine. If you want to push yourself, challenge yourself, I would say go take a look at some of the recent content that Framer has put out that is teaching you how to build your portfolio from scratch and make it more interactive and more you. So if you have the appetite to invest in learning, I would go in that direction. The last one I would recommend is Lovable. It takes a lot of credit. It's an expensive tool, but if you really want to go AI first, AI native, then Lovable. Beyond that, please don't do Dropbox links, don't do Google Slides, don't do PDFs. Those are good when you get past the initial screening process and you want to make a presentation or you're participating in a panel, a portfolio panel review, then a slide deck would be the easiest thing to do. Do we switch the title from UX designer to it? Guys, I think it's a very nuanced situation. There are companies like Meta who only talk product design. And Shopify went and said, we're going to remove the word UX from design. All of this bullshit, it doesn't matter. Your title, I think UX is a safe space, safe bet to take in general.
Good. Okay, let's see if there are any others. Animations on the homepage.
No, please don't put any animations on your homepage unless it is showcasing your skills in interaction design or motion design. Animations are distracting. They just sound fluffy to me when I look at animations, unless you are applying for an interaction design or motion design role. But I would highly recommend on your homepage to maybe add GIFs or videos of your working prototype. If you have simple GIFs that showcase how your product works, that'll go a long way compared to random animations.
Yet.
Orlando, I think that's a good idea. Absolutely good idea to talk about a bit of breadth and technical skill set in your AI project. So highly appreciate that. In fact, I also did a session on Maven just 2 weeks ago on how to think about showcasing AI design projects. So if you guys are interested, I can, Minaz, I can give you the link and you can share. I don't know
Yeah.
how to do that.
Sure. I put
Yeah.
the link in the LinkedIn comments.
Yeah, we went through a
Okay.
couple of different portfolio reviews, and that should help you guys too, because we looked at a broad range of portfolios in that talk.
The last question.
Yes, and I wouldn't shy away from putting personal projects to the portfolio. I know a lot of folks are trying to showcase themselves as, hey, I can also do AI product design, but you may not have had the opportunity or a real life experience, and that's totally fine. Again, tuning into my own experience, every time I've tried a new tech area, it's always the case where demand is higher than supply, and people understand that, hey, these designers may not have had the opportunity to do the work right now, but if they've had some experience, they've demonstrated some understanding of the tech, that's always a leg up over someone who's not done that at all. So but if you do a personal project, make sure you choose it wisely. Very recently, we had this conversation in my course with the students. If you are a B2B enterprise designer, then pick a project that adds to it rather than picking a B2C random project on, hey, I've always wanted to do something that teaches people a language. Like, please don't do that. You want to, if you're adding personal projects, it should augment your current story. It should only build on it. The reason you're doing a personal project is, one, filling a skill gap. I can do this, but I've not had the chance to do this already. So I want to add that. Or I want to position myself even more strongly in this space. And that's why I'm adding a personal project. So please be very intentional and go deep. In a personal project, I would say you have all the creative space. You cannot get away with excuses saying, oh, my NG team was not willing to ship this, or I ran out of time, we didn't have UXR resources. So really go deep and showcase the best that you can about your skill sets and who you are as a designer. Don't do a half-baked personal project is what I'm trying to say.
Okay, so I'm gonna put the link in the comments later. And yes, the recording will be available on Podgear platforms like Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, Spotify, and also on our YouTube channel, Swarm Community YouTube channel. We have the DESIGNathon podcast there. You can watch the recording there. And please also follow us on YouTube, our Swarm Community channel. And you're gonna watch, like, we have so many educational AI content there as well as our podcast. So another question. How can one position themselves working on the service design, mainly helping the startup founders?
I think that's a bit of a vague question. I'm not understanding what this means.
Okay. Saranya, if I
And Rupa,
pronounce
one
it
of the
right.
things I've noticed, I'm back. My work meeting ended quick. Is a year or two ago, if you would have asked me, I would have said, "Oh, go into conversation design. That's all you'll need. You'll be fine." And then now I'm saying conversation designers should learn product, and product designers should learn conversation, because I think the more skills you have, the more boxes you tick, the more likely you are the expectations are higher. Like, everybody knows it's a tough job market, and if you have 10 skills and you have 4, the person is am I noticing that correctly? Do you see that too? I mean, I'm living it right now. Like, my new job, all my UX, all my visual design, everything I ever did is part of this job, where my last job, it was just conversation design. So I'm curious what you think as far as like adding tools to that toolbox.
I think a couple of things, and you're experiencing that because you're climbing up the ladder. The more senior you go, the higher up you go, the expectations change, right? So if you're a junior to mid designer, you can stay deep into your lane and expect that that's the kind of projects you will end up getting. As you climb higher and get into the senior zone, you're expected to add a lot more skills and a lot more capabilities. And if you look at any company's leveling guides, that should be a good indication of, hey, how are you seeing the breadth come in, right? So that's number one. Number two, every designer should know how to think like a product designer, whether you're doing that job or not, whether it's part of your job description or role. It's the one single thing that accelerated my career, is started to think like developing product sense, start to think like what we call product thinking, being able to speak to product managers, speak their vocabulary and relate to their way of their worldview, and then finding that alignment. That just completely changed the game for me. So my take is, don't think of product design as an extra skill. It's more like a more holistic perspective of design, which is thinking beyond the users. What does the business want to do? What needles do they want to move? How are they measuring the success of this design? It's enhancing your worldview, and it's not just another skill set. I highly recommend every designer to invest in that. And that's what you're experiencing. As you go senior, you're expected to have that perspective and contribute that. So you're being a thought leader, a thought leadership partner to your product partners, and not just a designer that executes on design. So that's what happens when you climb up the ladder. And I think you're right. A lot of teams and a lot of companies want to do more with less. So there's a couple of really interesting articles around the rise of the generalist UX designer, blah, blah, blah. I think UX designers have always been generalist, but at this point, don't listen to a lot of noise and say I have to do everything for everyone. You can still be very focused. You can still be specific. You don't move from UX design to product design. You just add product thinking to your UX design capabilities, is how I see it. That's my framing.
I think there's actually a question in the comments about what should we call ourselves now? And it kind of speaks to the junior who isn't even sure what the difference between the jobs are. Right?
Yeah, I think I answered this question earlier. It's a lot of nuance depending on companies. I was saying earlier that companies like Meta would only call their designers product designers, for example, or companies and like Google have very, very differentiated interaction design versus, they don't have product design as a role at all. So if you are in a situation where you're applying for a company like that, they will figure out a way to map your skill sets. In places like Google, it's more like a visual design versus interaction design. In Amazon, everyone's a UX designer, for example. So speaking from my own experience, I feel like it's dependent on the company. You're not going to go wrong if you call yourself a UX designer. That's what I would like to say. Can't go wrong with that. It speaks to a lot of different skill sets. Is general enough, but gives the strategic perspective of your skill sets. Like you're not just UI. That's the big differentiation. Not product versus UX, but UI versus UX. If you have not done research, you have not done strategic work, if you don't have product sense, call yourself a visual designer, and that's better. But if you have a lot of this and you've done multi-platform work, B2C, B2B work, you've got a breadth of experience, UX design is a safe bet.
Okay. I like to wrap the show. The way we generally wrap meetings is action items. So if you could give these struggling juniors like a few action items, what would you say?
I'll just say one. I don't like to do action items. I like to do mindset shifts. And you know how I think about this. I like to leave you with how to think about this situation. And one thing I would say is get intentional. That's one gap I see in the industry right now. Is I know everyone's stressed out. I know the situation is it's kind of it's just a bit painful right now with all the noise and the hype and the fear mongering. Don't let all of that impact you, and be very intentional. No matter what your profession is, if you're intentional about how you are networking, how you're building your portfolio, you saw Chris's example, right? You have to be thoughtful and intentional. When people are not intentional, it shows in their work. I've seen in portfolios and resumes that you're trying to do everything for everyone and you're not being intentional. When you are, you bring clarity, you bring focus, you bring stronger storytelling, you bring depth of work. So be intentional. This is how you want to think about whatever phase you are in, whether you're networking, whether you're job hunting, you're reaching out to people, you're updating your portfolio. Just think about how I can get more intentional. What that means is define your positioning, define what you want people to take away, and work backwards from there. And that will keep you safer than just trying to grab everything and do everything and meet everyone else's advice and tips. That's the wrong way to do it. When you do that, it shows up in your work, and it shows up in your communication, it shows up in your resume. And if you can, for good design to happen, you have to know what to take out as much as what to add. And remember, don't add a whole bunch of things to confuse people. You'll still, it'll take time, it'll be hard, but you'll still end up coming better on the other side, because you will differentiate yourself by being intentional more than anything else.
Thank
I
you,
hope
Rupa. That was pure gold. I hope everybody was really paying attention to all that. And you can always take the transcript from YouTube. I don't know if you can grab transcripts from YouTube's, but I would take the transcripts and ask.
I don't think so.
No?
Transcript of this show?
Yeah, I thought YouTube had transcripts, maybe not, but I would just love to synthesize like all of Rupa's gold into, I mean, Chris too. They were just so many.
We're gonna add summaries to the description so they can find the key points there.
Okay, awesome, because there was a lot, and a lot of it can really be life-changing. I think I can't wait to see, Minaz, what your portfolio looks like in a month from now.
Yeah, I'm gonna change a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me. This was really nice to learn from Chris's perspective and hanging out with you guys. Good luck to everyone. I hope everything works out for you guys. And I'm around if anyone wants to ping me with any questions. And Minaz, feel free to ask folks to reach out. I'm happy to help in any way.
Thank you, Rupa.
Thank you so much, Rupa.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye. Thanks, everyone.